What's up, guys? UFC 239 just wrapped up, and amazing card. I mean, it was looking like it was going to be one of the best cards of all time, and the main event didn't really deliver too much, except that we actually got Thiago Santos almost beating Jon Jones with one leg, which is crazy. Well, one leg besides about 4 minutes into the first round. You got to give Thiago Santos credit. He fought one of the greatest fighters of all time, almost beat him. Some people do believe that Thiago Santos did enough to win the fight, enough to win 3 rounds out of the fight. One judge gave it 48-47 to Thiago Santos. And personally, I'm not a judge. What I saw, I thought that Thiago Santos probably won the fight as well. I thought he won the first and second round as well as the fifth. Second round was extremely close. First round was actually pretty close. I say the fourth round is also very close. Third round was clearly Jon Jones for dropping Thiago Santos. Fifth round, I believe, was Thiago Santos for pretty much landing the bigger strikes. If you go by the judges' criteria, the fifth round should be going to Thiago Santos. Whoever lands the biggest strikes in the round, if there is any effective strikes, it automatically goes to that fighter. Fifth round, it had to be Santos. First round, I think it had to be Santos because of the leg kicks and a couple of the flurries over the top. You can say Jon Jones won 40-47. I will agree with you as well. It was a close, competitive fight, and it just shows that Jon Jones is not way above everybody, right? If Thiago Santos could do that with one leg, what if he had the other leg, right? What if he could kick with his right leg? Because when he's kicking with his right leg, the reason why his left knee is getting hurt is because it's torquing. It's turning quickly while you throw your right leg. Right, so when he was throwing his left kick, it wasn't hurting his knee so much because he doesn't really have to plant and put weight on it. And the right leg kicks were working in the first round, so he had to almost completely abandon it. Even when he landed it later in the fight, they don't have the same kind of power. Imagine him able to kick out the leg of Jones just like he did in the first round with the left leg kick, I believe, but constantly landing with the right. Jones, what you see him do is, you saw him constantly start to go into orthodox and stay in orthodox once he noticed Santos' leg was hurt. Why did he go into orthodox? Because he's not worried about the right kick getting through now. But Santos started landing on the inside of it with his left kick and did a lot of damage to it, man. Thiago Santos showed 2 holes that fighters do not exploit on Jon Jones. Leg kicking defense. Jones is susceptible to getting leg kicked, as well as angles when he's moving back. If you pressure with your hands, angles to get around the post. And Santos did that better than anybody else. If you see my How to Beat Jon Jones video, that is the number one thing I point out. Something nobody was really doing, right? They would just throw this one big strike from a distance and then stop. No, you can't do that because he posts, puts his left hand forward or right hand, depends which stance he's in, and he leans away. So much range, man. There's so much distance for you to get in. But if you create angles on the post, now all of a sudden the distance gets shorter. And Santos did that amazingly. He was known as this wild, brutish fighter in the middleweight division, as well as a little bit in the light heavyweight division. And he did better than most fighters ever did against Jon Jones. Injured. People are calling for a rematch. I would love to see a rematch. I would love to see a healthy Thiago Santos for 5 rounds go against Jon Jones. If it's that competitive with an injured Thiago Santos, how competitive would it be with a fully healed Santos? If it's not going to be Santos, I don't know who else will be there. I don't know who else deserves a title shot right now. Everybody else that's winning, they're still a bit young, right? You got Johnny Walker. He needs a couple more wins. You got Dominic Reyes. He needs a couple more wins. And they're like the top guys that are just constantly winning in this division right now. And I don't think you should put them up to Jon Jones. Now there is Jon Jones going up to heavyweight. But I believe a lot of fans seeing this kind of performance against Jones from Thiago Santos, another light heavyweight, I believe they want to see what more can Jon Jones do here. Because it's clearly he's not ahead of everybody by far. And Thiago Santos brought out the speed game that Jon Jones has not really seen before besides Lyoto Machida back in the day. And I would say a little bit of Vitor Belfort, but Santos is a little bit different. Whenever Jones made any mistake, whenever he threw a side kick and it missed, or some long-range strike and it missed, Thiago Santos was there to make him pay at all times. He had the speed to get in and counter him cleanly. And he did cash Jon Jones a couple times pretty clean, but I don't know what's up with Jon Jones' chin, man. The guy takes shots better than most fighters I've ever seen. Who takes Thiago Santos' shots, right? In that first round, Santos landed a couple times before his leg got hurt, and Jones just ate them. Like, it's ridiculous. Even caught a glancing head kick, which knocks out how many people have we seen? Ate it, nothing, walked it off. Just insane. You got to give credit to Jon Jones as well, man. And people were saying that this is the tested Jones. This is the clean version of Jon Jones. This is why he's not able to dominate these guys. You could be true, you could be not. This is the reason why, personally, I can't put Jon Jones on the greatest of all time list, because it can completely change you as a fighter. right? Clean and not clean can completely change you. And if it's true that a not clean Jon Jones would have destroyed Thiago Santos that night, it just throws so much out. But good performance from both fighters. Who these guys should be fighting next? Like I said, I don't know who Jon Jones should be fighting next. A rematch, I would not disagree with it. I would be for it probably. Over every other fight, I don't know. I have to see how the heavyweight fights go. I have to see how Stipe and DC goes. If I could make the fight, I personally want to see Jones defend his belt. And who that might be up against? I guess Dominic Reyes. I mean, he's number 4. He's coming off another win. He's undefeated. Long fighter, really good striker, but that takedown defense is a bit lacking. That's another thing about this fight. I don't know why Jones didn't go for many takedowns. I think he should have. It could have been that he didn't want to get that close, right, to initiate a clinch because he knows how dangerous Santos is. I guess Dominic Reyes. If it's not Santos, it should be Reyes. And as for Thiago Santos' rematch, it would be fine for me. I mean, who else do you give him? He already beat Anthony Smith. He already beat Jan Blachowicz. Volkan Oezdemir, maybe? I mean, number 7. You have to go down that far. Or you can give him Dominic Reyes if Jones wants to take some time off. But I think Santos might take more time off than Jones will. And then we go to the co-main event. Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm, 4 minutes and 10 seconds into the first round. I mean, I was a little bit shocked of how Amanda Nunes came out there. She came out not aggressive, not pressuring. She allowed Holly Holm to march forward. And I thought, oh man, this is going to be a mistake. And even when they got in the clinch, she attempted one takedown. For the rest of the fight, she tried to disengage from the clinch. So I'm like, is she messing this up? And she finally found her range. She finally found her openings. Eventually landed that high kick. The first one, Holly Holm actually blocked partially, and you can see Holly Holm did not see it coming that well. So eventually, at the finish, Nunes threw a right hand, faked it, right overhand that she was throwing the whole fight, faked it, then faked a jab, and Holly Holm did that thing that she was doing in the fight, where she was throwing that right side kick to the knee, but she lifted her leg up as if she was going to do it again, but she's actually using it to create range and stop the opponent from coming in on her. That doesn't work when you're attacking longer than that leg extended forward. Nunes roundhouse kicks her to the head. And you can see it actually lands with the foot instead of the shin because of the distance that Holly Holm created on her with that leg forward. But eventually puts her down. Shots afterward, a little bit too much, but Nunes is just a monster. She's on her own level. No one's on her level. No one's probably ever going to beat her. The only one that can ever come close is Valentina Shevchenko. Maybe we'll see that rematch again. But who these fighters should be fighting next? Amanda Nunes versus the winner of Chris Cyborg versus Felicia Spencer. That has to be the next fight over there. And then at bantamweight, it has to be against Aspen Ladd. As for Holly Holm, I don't know if she's going to retire. She's a bit older. She's like, 2-5 in her last 7? I mean, it's going to be tough nowadays, especially against the younger fighters. But if she's going to keep continuing, I say maybe a rematch with Raquel Pennington or a fight with Kat Zingano, who is somewhat equal in age with Holly Holm. And then we go to the shocker of the year. It's only shocker because how the fight played out. Not the fact that Jorge Masvidal knocked out Ben Askren, but how it happened. Jorge Masvidal knocks out Flying Knees, Cuban Missiles, Captain Falcons, Ben Askren in 5 seconds into the fight. I mean, who predicted that besides Dustin Poirier? I don't know how Dustin Poirier thought this would happen. But in a sense, in hindsight, it actually makes sense. Looking at my breakdown, I explained why a flying knee meeting the instincts of a wrestler is the most terrifying nightmare anyone can ever have. But I didn't expect Masvidal to do that. He doesn't normally do that kind of thing. Besides, I guess he sidekicked Darren Till in the balls, but he came out there like an assassin, right? From the theme song to how he was so calm before it happened to exploding out of the blocks. Not much else you can say about that. Put an exclamation point on the ending of this one. And it really puts a halt to the Ben Askren train. And Jorge Masvidal 100% deserves a title shot now. I think he deserves it over Colby Covington. Coming off a win like that, you cannot do better. You can't do better. You cannot ask for a better fight or a better performance. The fastest knockout in UFC history, 5 seconds. The knee actually landed like 1.5. And against the number 5 ranked fighter in Ben Askren. Who knows if that's warranted? He did beat Robbie Lawler, but very controversial on that. But Masvidal 100% deserves a title shot. And I think he's going to blow up a little bit. I think it's going to create more of a stardom for him because before this fight, the trafficking for him was crazy. I mean, everywhere from interviews to predictions to anybody talking about Jorge Masvidal this week, it kind of blew up. It got a lot of views and attraction. After this, you probably would think Jorge Masvidal might be one of the biggest fighters, most known fighters in this division. And it's warranted. I mean, he should be a household name. How his career has gone from backyard fights that people saw a long time ago to now should be fighting for a title at the grandest stage of martial arts. You can't script this kind of thing. I hope they make a movie after this, man. If he wins the belt, I mean, Let's Get On as someone. Masvidal should be starring in that kind of movie too. So who these guys should be fighting next? Like I said, Masvidal title shot, and Ben Askren, I want to see him fight Damian Maia. I've always said that's the fight to make, and I think now it should be the most interesting fight in my opinion. And then we go to Jan Blachowicz knocking out Luke Rockhold 1 minute and 39 seconds into the second round with that left hook, man. Taking a page out of Michael Bisping's book. And this just shows Michael Bisping knocking out Luke Rockhold probably was no fluke. It seems to be something that Rockhold doesn't really see coming. Even the left overhand of Yoel Romero, even though it seemed like he probably saw that coming, maybe, or he just saw Romero coming at him. Left hook from Bisping, left hook from Jan, both puts him down. I've been telling people for a long time, people thought that Rockhold would dominate Jan, and the betting odds were crazy for this one. I mean, okay, let me say about the Masvidal and Askren thing. The betting odds for that fight, completely unacceptable. This one, a little bit as well. I mean, I picked Jan to win this fight. I predicted him to knock out Rockhold because I didn't think Rockhold would change too much. I know his defense is not there. I thought he might be able to take down Jan, but I thought Jan could scramble out of position. But like I said even before, Rockhold's takedowns are not what people think, right? Who does he really take down in fights? He didn't take down Lyoto Machida traditionally. He didn't take down Chris Weidman without Chris Weidman throwing an ill-advised wheel kick, right? From a double leg to an opponent who is always in position, it's going to be very hard for Rockhold to take that guy to the ground. And what happens is, he tries to break away from Jan and gets caught by a left hook and puts him out cold. If I'm going to be honest, I think it might be a wrap for Rockhold because here's the thing, he has a lot of opportunities outside of fighting. I understand he likes to fight, and if he wants to keep fighting, he can keep fighting, but in my opinion, he has a lot of things going for him outside of fighting. I mean, he could be a movie star, he could be a model, he could be a bunch of things, man. He's sponsored by these crazy brands and stuff, and getting knocked out like this is not healthy. I mean, how many knockouts in his last few fights has he suffered? Get this, every loss in his entire career has been by knockout. Jan Blachowicz, KO, not TKO. Yoel Romero, KO, not TKO. Michael Bisping, KO, not TKO. Vitor Belfort, KO, not TKO. And then his second fight was a TKO by Tony Rabalcava back in 2007. This is really not good. And light heavyweight, he looked a bit slow. He was huge. I mean, he put on a lot of weight. He might have had staph infection. I think that's what Joe Rogan was saying a lot in the fight. He might have had staph infection. It might have affected him. But he came in there so big. I don't think that's going to be too healthy. I think he has to adapt to the weight class before he can get his cardio intact. Going from middleweight to a lot slimmer to light heavyweight and looking like he could fight a heavyweight easily probably isn't healthy. You know, that fast of a change. Your body has to get used to that first. And Jan looked big as well. He's adapted to this weight class. And people underestimate him because he's not much of a talker. He doesn't finish too many fights. But like I said, man, in the light heavyweight division, anybody can knock anybody out. And Jan, even though he doesn't knock too many people out, he did stun Jimmy Manuwa pretty badly in his last fight with him. And Rockhold doesn't really have the best chin. So 2 and 2 go together for that one. So these guys should be fighting next. As for Jan Blachowicz, I think him versus Dominic Reyes would be a good fight. If Reyes is... It depends what's going on with Jon Jones. So if Reyes is not going to fight Jon Jones, I think Jan Blachowicz would be the right one. And as for Luke Rockhold, I don't know where he's going to be in this division, but who I'd like to see him fight, have him fight Shogun. Just have him fight Shogun. I understand he should be able to beat a guy like Shogun Rua, but the glass chinish thing that's coming into the fight with Rockhold, even Shogun can put him out with one shot. So it's a dangerous fight. It can be competitive. Shogun is not an easy guy to take down as well, so I think it should be a good fight for Luke Rockhold. And then we go to Michael Chiesa defeating Diego Sanchez by decision, 30-26, I believe. He just dominated the fight. It was kind of what everybody expected. Of course, Diego Sanchez is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and I didn't really see him getting submitted because of that. Even though he's older, the skills are still there. It's hard to submit any BJJ black belt, no matter how old they get. But Michael Chiesa dominated him. I mean, he big brothered him. He was way bigger. It was a huge factor, and pretty much did whatever he wanted. It was what everybody expected. So who these guys should be fighting next? As for Michael Chiesa, that's already 2-0 in the welterweight division. You know, I think a top 15 fighter would do very well because he was top 15 at lightweight for a long time. So him versus Neil Magny, I think would be an excellent fight. And as for Diego Sanchez, I don't really know, man. If he's going to keep continuing, he didn't look that bad. I'm going to give him that. He didn't look that bad. He was scrambling with a much bigger, younger, stronger grappler in Michael Chiesa. He did very well in many exchanges. So you got to give it to Diego Sanchez. Maybe it might be his coach, is making a difference here because he was getting starched before, easily dealt with before. But if I would have to say who he should be fighting next, BJ Penn. I mean, let's do the rematch. Why not? I don't want to see BJ fight, but I don't really want to see Diego fight anymore. So it'll do a favor to both those guys, I think. And then we go to the prelims. I actually missed the Melendez versus Allen fight. I have to go back and watch that. Marlon Vera pulling off that submission against Hernandez. From getting the back to nearly getting an armbar to getting the arm crusher. Is that what Joe Rogan called it? It wasn't a bicep cutter, right? I have to go back and see it. But whatever. It's just whatever anyone wants to call it. But went from that to getting pounded on because of the submission failures. Started eating hammers from Hernandez, man. And eventually was able to get to the ground again, and he sinks in the rear naked choke, and Hernandez tapped really quick, man. It wasn't even like completely in for that long of a time, and Hernandez instantly tapping. I think Vera should get his rematch with Sean O'Malley. I saw a little bit of the Claudia versus Marcos fight. It seemed a bit inactive. Song Yadong putting out Alejandro Perez with one shot, man. I said that I thought Yadong would knock him out, but I did say that I thought Perez had a good enough chin to survive until the third round. Song Yadong just keeps impressing me, man. I might be front row in his hype train. He fired that right hand like he got shot out of a cannon. Perez throwing that leg kick, Yadong coming right over the top with that right hand. He actually reacted after the leg kick and it's still connected first. That's crazy. The power this guy has. I think only John Lineker, who's not even in the UFC anymore, but John Lineker might be the only one that has this kind of power for a 135-pound fighter. And the thing is, Song Yadong's only 21 years old. He can still be growing. He might even get more power by next year. I mean, sky's the limit for Song Yadong, man. Doesn't matter who they give him. I just want to see him putting on impressive performances. Edmund Shabazian submitting Jack Marshman. Boxing looked really good. Went for the single leg, got it to the ground. Eventually got the back and sunk in the rear naked choke. Very easy for Edmund. And Edmund's also a very young fighter and said that since his last fight, he's noticed a strength growth in himself. The benefits of being a young fighter, huh? I was a bit surprised about his coaching choice in Edmund Tarverdyan, but I guess it's working. He's not just a boxer and judo artist. I would like to see him implement kicks though. I don't want to see him just being a boxer and one-dimensional and stuff in the future. Right? Wrestling, kicking, they're all important. And I actually missed the rest of the fights, but this is one of the best cards I ever did in my prediction video. Not the best, I've gotten all the fights right before, of course, as I've gotten all of them wrong before, but in terms of who I picked for underdogs, to who I thought was going to win, to how they're going to win, one of my better cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe. My next video is going to be another breakdown. It's going to come out tomorrow. Might be the Nunes and Holm fight. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.